Well, it's a confident West Indies team that's gearing up for Sunday's start of the three-match ODI series against Bangladesh in Guyana. The Windies beat the Tourists 2-0 in the T20 series, which ended on Thursday. The Indies ODI squad sees Shai Hope return as vice-captain and also sees a call-up for left-arm spinner Gurukesh Moji. It also sees Anderson Phillip and Jayden Seales returning to the side. The other two ODIs are set for July 13 and 16. Let's take a look at the squad. So we have Nicholas Pooran as captain, Shai Hope as vice-captain, Shamar Brooks, Casey Carty, Akil Hussain, Alzari Joseph, Brandon King, Kyle Mayers, Gurukesh Moji, Kimo Paul, Anderson Phillip, Ravmon Powell, Jayden Seales and Romario Shepherd. We're now joined by international cricket commentator Fazir Mohammed to preview the series. Faz, welcome.
Good to be on the show once again, Mariah.
Always a pleasure to hear your insights. So I'll start by asking you about the confidence from the T20 series. Does it trickle into the ODI series, and how important is confidence going into this ODI series?
I think it's very important. You could probably read too much into it at times, depending on the format of the competition. Actually, going into this tour, this visit by Bangladesh, I was asked in the Trinidad and Tobago media, one of the media houses, what were my expectations, and I said that I think the West Indies will easily win the Test series, will win the T20s, but Bangladesh could probably edge it in the one-day series. But given the way that they have performed so far, it just seems that Bangladesh, if not in disarray, are not as focused as they would usually be for the shorter formats of the game, because I think they've been very, very ordinary so far. So I think, given the fact that the West Indies won so handily, especially in that final match yesterday, they'll take that confidence with them, and if they continue to play that way, they should prevail over Bangladesh in the three-match one-day series.
What does the addition of Shai Hope to, and I'm just comparing it to the T20 batting that just concluded, what does Shai Hope add to this ODI side?
Consistency, quality. He averages over 50 in this format of the game. He's one of the best in the world in one-day international cricket, which makes it all the more bewildering that he could barely get a run in Test cricket, which is why he's no longer part of the Test squad. But yeah, he brings solidity at the top of the order, and I think that is ideally what you want. A player who has all the attributes. Maybe he would need, when you talk about being really critical, to be able to accelerate, to get a couple more gears to his innings through the middle and towards the end, because we are now in an environment where 330, 340 is not necessarily a defendable total, depending on the conditions. But yeah, his experience, his productivity, his form, his consistency, all of that would suggest that having him at the top of the order really should give you a solid start.
Yeah, Shakib Al Hassan, their most potent player, Faz, apparently missing the ODI series. How much of a setback would that be for the Bangladeshis?
It is a setback. It's a significant setback, Lance. And looking at the bigger picture, I don't know how many people realize that the West Indies are no longer a priority for many teams, even Bangladesh. Mushfiqur Rahim, who's an ever-present in the Bangladesh team, he's not here because he's fulfilling religious obligations in what is known as the pilgrimage, the Hajj in Mecca in Saudi Arabia, which is happening right now as we speak. But would he have opted to do that were the opponents England, were the opponents Australia, for example? We have a situation as well, Lance, where India are coming with essentially a B team, because all of their big names are being rested. Virat Kohli, Jasprit Bumrah, Rohit Sharma. You just call the names and they won't be there. And just taking it back even further, well, not much further, Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson, it was felt okay to leave them out of this series against England, against the West Indies, at their cost, of course, but it speaks to that level of arrogance. So it quite clearly, and there's even further evidence, Sachin Tendulkar, the last two tours that India made to the Caribbean, he opted out for different reasons. So the evidence is there, and yes, it's going to be a loss to Bangladesh, but it doesn't seem to bother Shakib Al Hassan too much, doesn't seem to bother Bangladesh too much, that he'll be missing a series against the West Indies.
Yeah, you know what? The West Indies are actually ranked behind Bangladesh in the ODI team rankings by the ICC. Ahead of them, of course, in the T20s and the Test series. And a stark reality facing cricket fans in the West Indies, Faz, that our ODI game at the moment really, really needs some work.
Not just at the moment, Lance. We've been there or thereabouts, and there or thereabouts at the foot of the rankings for the better part of 10 years. So this is not an unfamiliar position, but notwithstanding all the big names that we've had. And this is something that often distracts us when we think of the Karen Pollards, the Andre Russells, the Chris Gales, your Sunil Narain, your flamboyant Dwayne Bravo, and so on. There might have been the odd period of a bit of a winning streak here and there, but overall the West Indies have been consistently poor in one-day international cricket, right down the line, all the way back to Jason Holder being thrown in at the deep end as captain for the World Cup of 2015 in Australia and New Zealand. So this is almost a given in the 2020s environment of West Indies cricket, certainly in the one-day format as well. So it's an opportunity for Nicholas Pooran to try to take that momentum from the T20s into the one-days to win and win emphatically. But again, that's not a given, because you're talking about a team that is noted for its inconsistencies.
Yeah, Faz, I had seen recently where this ODI series is not officially a part of the points gathering for qualifying. Are you aware of that, and how disappointing would that be?
It's confusing, Lance, and I understand anyone who is at a loss as to understand why is this series not part of the championship and another series as part of the championship. It just is a bit of a muddle. And it's, from what I understand, it's part of the reason why Shakib Al Hasan has opted out, that there are no points at stake, there's nothing really to play for. I would think playing for your country matters. But in any event, that's Shakib Al Hasan and Bangladesh. But the point is, you have a World Test Championship where no team plays the same number of matches. They judge on percentage of points or whatever they call it. The same thing with this championship, where some series count, some series don't. And really, it's a sort of situation where I understand the intention, but if you've got a situation where, again, because the halves play each other a lot more, the have-nots have to scramble and hope they get a big series every now and then, it's going to leave you wondering what really is the point of the exercise.
Yeah, and why wouldn't they, Faz, having said all of that, just continue to play 3 or 4 more T20 internationals, as both teams would be trying to get ready for the World Cup in a few months from now, as opposed to going into a one-day series that doesn't have anything counting on it?
I suppose it's an opportunity to, certainly from the West Indies point of view, to really refine and retune the squad, because the West Indies need points to ensure that they qualify for the World Cup in India in 2023. They certainly can't take it for granted. Yeah. They were well beaten by Pakistan, even though they got the better of the Netherlands quite handily as well. So maybe use that as an opportunity. But I take your point about playing a succession of 2020s, as we did last year. As you recall, it was 2020s non-stop. Yes. With South Africa, then Australia, and Pakistan, even those were ruined by rain, all in readiness for the World T20. And then we saw what happened, just one win in a group of 5 matches. So it's no guarantee playing a whole bunch of T20s is automatically going to turn you into a winning team. But as far as the one-dayers are concerned, the West Indies also have to sort themselves out in that format of the game. And maybe the fact that there are no points at stake will allow them to experiment a bit more.
Yeah, not sure if I got your view on this, Faz, because there has been talk, or the position taken by a lot of cricket fans in the Caribbean, about the burden on Nicholas Pooran as a new West Indies white ball captain, and the feeling that it would have been better to have him captain maybe the T20s and make someone else be the ODI captain, to give his introduction to team leadership a little bit more of an incremental burden, as opposed to the tough job that he has now on his shoulders to try to revive or overall white ball cricket, especially the ODIs, where we are pretty much close to rock bottom at the moment. Your views on that?
I was actually in discussion with Mariah and George about that some time ago, and I was actually in agreement with that perspective that, look, maybe he should be just the T20 captain, that Shai Hope probably should have been the one-day captain. And I was even mooting, Jason Holder, if you want to go back towards Jason Holder, because he's still a relatively young man. Because, again, he's just come out of an excellent brief series against Bangladesh in the T20s, but that's only a couple of matches. And I think we've had the discussion about, the way he gets out, the shots that he would play. I suppose we hope to see a greater level of maturity, a greater willingness to spend time in the middle, because it's 50 overs a side. But again, I think he relishes the challenge. He's obviously someone who wants the challenge, but sometimes, whether you're a selector or an observer, you step back and say, well, okay, maybe he needs just the T20 job, but having given him both jobs, it's going to be a real, I wouldn't necessarily say slap in the face, but if he were to be removed on the basis of one or two poor performances. So they've gone with him, and I expect they would have to stick with him at least until the next World Cup if the West Indies make it.
Okay, and finally then, Faz, you did suggest that prior to the entire tour by the Bangladeshis, you would have given them the best chance for a series win in the ODIs. Do you still retain that position now that Shakim Al Hassan isn't playing? Because we didn't know that at the beginning of this tour.
Well, I was actually still going with Bangladesh even without Shakib Al Hassan. But I just feel that there's some feeling within the Bangladesh company. Mustafizur Rahman had to be persuaded to come on tour to be part of their test squad. As I mentioned about Mushfiqur Rahim not being there. And even going into the T20s, there was a tremendous level of uncertainty as who would be available, who wouldn't play, and who would be captain, who would be vice captain, and so on. They just seem unsettled for whatever reason, and I expect the West Indies to capitalize. So yes, it wouldn't be the first time I would get things wrong if the West Indies do win, but given what is going on, I think the West Indies now should be able to pull off this series.
You speak about a win. Will it be a sweep or just Bangladesh fighting back, probably in one?
Probably 2-1, because I think Bangladesh, and indeed Shakib did mention that at the end of the test series, that they're far more attuned to one-day cricket than any other format. He didn't even mention T20. So I suspect that they might be relishing the opportunity to finish the series on a high. But I think the West Indies, with a few decent fast bowlers and a pitch with a little bounce, and they should easily dust off Bangladesh. Although, again, because of the inconsistencies, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2-1.
Well, Faz, thank you so much for your time and, of course, your expertise. We'll chat again soon.
Take care.
Fazir Mohammed there, our international cricket commentator. You know what time it is? Break time. Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.